What's up, guys? Welcome to the On the Screws Golf YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, I'd like to invite you below, subscribe so you can be notified anytime we release a new podcast, which is every Friday about 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or any of the products that we might feature for a review on the page. If you're not already, please head over to our Instagram account at OTS Golf. Give us a follow there. We connect with a lot of really cool people in the golf community. And if you like the video, please head below, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments section about anything that you might like to see featured on this page. But alright, let's get into the video.
3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2, 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo, new driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, it drew, shooter McGavin, 2 thumbs that's up high and 2 fingers pointed.
The green jacket is going north of the border. Mike Weir has won the Masters.
I'm playing. Sometimes these par 3 green look like an island. A plunge and keep it on dry land. At least I might try, man. Up with the 5 and might use the trap, man. I got a check, man. Line tango ball speed, rate of that batsman, and where that ball land.
All right, welcome to On the Screws podcast. This week we've got the founder and owner, Bradley Converse. So Bradley, this episode we're going to kind of get into a little bit about how you created the company, kind of how you make the product, kind of from start to finish. A lot of your builds, as I see, are custom, right? So would love to hear a little bit about your game as well, and kind of what got you into kind of building the putters themselves. So maybe just give us a quick introduction of Bradley Putters.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm Brad Converse. A lot of people think my last name is Putters. It's not. It would have been Converse Putters, which would be a bunch of foot wedges. That doesn't work. So yeah, I've been playing golf since about middle school. I'm 33 now, and spent about 10 years designing military equipment to survive nuclear blasts, like right out of high school. Had a cool job, and then they wanted me to move to Virginia, and I didn't really want to do that, so started looking for something to do. A pretty strong history in mechanical engineering, but also, my dad was a woodworker, and I love design, and so just kind of designed a company around what I enjoy doing, and 4.5 years later, here we are.
Very cool. So anybody who is checking this out on YouTube, or I'll post a couple links into our Instagram, you can kind of see you're right in the shop right now, which is pretty amazing. So
yeah, this is the acrylic area. So we're like stabilizing wood and acrylic pouring. There's a dehydrator under the camera here. There's pressure pots, vacuum pots. There's an oven there for dehydrating wood. We've got a ton of wood there. We've got more wood over here, stabilized wood, dried wood, and yeah, just a whole lot of crazy materials to work with.
a lot that goes into it. So what's your product line look like? So if I know you do a lot of custom putters, which we can get into, because I know, like, I've listened to a few of your Instagram lives or some of your posts, that is quite a process in itself. It's not all about you building a putter. It's kind of about like hearing their story, hearing the client or the customer's story, building something special and unique for them. But I know that you have a couple other things on your website. So what's your product line look like?
Yeah, essentially, the vast majority of what we do is a custom builder, essentially. So most people, when they get a putter from me, we spend about a half hour on the phone, and my product, like my main product, is stories. Like, it's a storytelling piece that you take on the course, and people will ask you questions, and it's a chance to talk about your relationship with someone, your other hobbies, your past history, and what you used to do in your before your retired life. It's just story pieces. They're fully functional, high-end putters, but we can do some pretty cool things with them that beg a question. So, like, as you're out there on the course with it, someone's going to see it and be like, why does it have Blastoise on the bottom of it? Or why is it, it's an American flag shape, but there's also something embedded in it. What is that's embedded in it? Or, oh, you've got some, like, weird-looking toy embedded in it. Like, why'd you embed that toy in there? And they're talking about the toy that their son used to hide in their luggage every time they went on a trip, and their relationship with their son, and going on and on with that. There's so many opportunities for talking about your family and who knows what. And so that's what we do. I spend about a half hour with each client coming up with a really cool plan for their putter, and then we make something. Pretty much every putter we make is unlike any putter we've made previously. So yeah, we've done a few like standard lines kind of things, but we don't do that too often at all. It's for the most part we just make like we take custom to a ridiculous level is kind of the best way to explain it.
Absolutely. I know you've got a pretty popular social media following, so I'm sure quite a few people listening to this will think the same thing. And like I looked at like the Kobe Bryant one. I thought like they're all just you've had some with like a corkscrew in it, like a masonry one. So like I mentioned to you, yeah, I mentioned to you, I've got a couple trade backgrounds as well. So that's where kind of I don't really blend anything into my golf game, but I love the fact that you've been able to do that, which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to ask you a question that I know you probably get all the time, but what's the favorite putter you've ever built?
It's like, what's your favorite kid kind of, but not as extreme as that. But the one I usually like to tell, we made a putter out of Saddam Hussein's chair once. That was wild. I met a guy in Bermuda who just asked me like straight up, can you make a putter out of anything? I'm like, yeah, I probably could. This was a couple of years ago. Like I pretty sure I can make a putter out of anything, but what do you have in mind? He's like, can you make it out of a chair? Yeah, why would you want to make it out of a chair? He was in military, in the Marines, and smuggled I mean, it's not even like that pretty of a chair, just smuggled like a cushion of a chair out of his palace. I'm not supposed to do that, but I won't tell you who it is and whatever. And so we took some of that fabric and laid it over some weights and then used wood from the chair itself like as the face and the bottom, and it just turned out super crazy cool. So when he like the first time he took it out on the course, it was at this really high end course like Tom Brady's course or something. They couldn't even have cell phones out there, and by the end of the round the word had gotten out about that putter, and he like stood up in front of everybody at this big charity tournament and told them the story of this putter at the end, just because it was so unique and special. Like there's that was a cool one. But then I mean we've done so many putters where it's just really special to a person, where I mean I could talk for hours about all the putters we've done where each one, like going through my Instagram, I could point at pretty much any putter we've done and be like, oh yeah, this was for this person, this is why we did it that way. And they also just keep getting more and more complicated and beautiful and crazy. Like every week we add some new method, and so they just keep getting prettier and prettier, and then it just oftentimes a story needs an element that we couldn't have done previously. But now that I know we've got a new we're doing really detailed engravings right now, like images. We're doing a putter for Augusta, with it looks like Augusta number 12 on the bottom, and being able to engrave all the right colors for that. That's the ability we didn't have a couple months ago. Like we can do all that now, and so it's just as we keep adding stuff, we just keep telling more and more intricate stories.
So why can you add those colors in now? Like, is there like are you using like a different type of sealer product, or is there a way like your curing system that you can add them?
Yeah, so it's a different product. Essentially, we use UV curing. So
Okay.
we used to do you mix two acrylics together, two epoxies together, and then after 12 minutes it starts to harden, and then after 2 hours it's mostly cured, and another 2 hours it's pretty much full cured. But that takes a long time, and it's pretty much one day for every color. And now we've got resin, Lumalite UV resin, where we can cure it in 5 minutes, and we can get it to
Awesome.
exactly how we want. So it's just been able to take it to ridiculous levels where we can have like an exact swirl we want, and as soon as it looks perfectly, we hit it. Whereas old acrylics would move and wander, and you have to put them under pressure for a long time.
Right.
It worked great for while we did that, but now we just have so much more control over the actual artwork of it.
So I know, like you've built some like some steel putters in the past and whatnot. Like I noticed that you had them up on your website, and but the main thing that you build with is wood. So there's thousands of different types of wood, like burl and everything that you guys work with. I saw earlier on an Instagram live that you're able to go to a local wood shop and kind of hand pick a bunch of pieces, like even just cut offs of what they aren't using and whatnot. So is wood your favorite product to work with?
Yeah, it's the only thing we use now. We did a few with metal where I'm an engineer designer, so I designed some putters and we did some wood inserts in them. But there'd be a lot of times where we have it all done and someone would say, oh, could you do this as well or this instead? Like we don't have a CNC machine here. We're a wood shop more than anything.
Right.
And there's other companies that do great metal putters that they can get really intricate with it. And that's just like not a world we want to live in. Like, we own the wood putter, the crazy custom wood putter world. Like, we've got that world pretty well handled. And expanding into metal putters, it's a very full market with really good people in there. It's just not a world we need to be in. So yeah, we use exclusive, like we do wood and or acrylic, or like it's always a wood base, and we'll either do straight wood or we'll add acrylic to it.
Okay.
And then we'll embed materials in the acrylic, bullets or yeah, you name it, whatever someone wants to embed in there, we'll do that as well. But it's always, and the thing is, like, most people haven't rolled one of my putters. The wood and acrylic, it sounds like, oh, it's gonna be light, it's not gonna feel good. Like, once you roll one, like, we used to do a lot of trade shows, before the whole world changed, and it was always funny watching someone hit it. Like, the first thing they do is they walk by and they look at it and they kind of look at their buddy like, oh yeah, wood putter. If they don't already know about it, it's like, oh yeah, there's no way that's good. I'm like, yeah, okay, just roll it.
We got Kit from like 9,000 feet. Can't even get it over the ridge. Yeah, over the ridge. That's pretty good. Okay. Hey, what kind of putter's that?
That's a Bradley.
Oh, that's cool.
Roll the putter, see what happens, and so then they roll it, and their face every time, just like, I was not expecting that. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it feels like a really good, solid putter with really good responsiveness. Really good feedback on miss distance control is something I get text probably the most about, is how much better someone's distance control is with it. So it's definitely, like, I designed it first for performance, but then they're gorgeous, and we've learned new ways to do artwork with it. So yeah, we've gotten really good with the art side of things, and so people think that it's just art because it's so good with art.
Right.
But it's performance first for us.
So the weighting would be typical to, like, it would be your standard 330, 350 gram putter, whatever it is that the client
wants.
Yeah.
So, like, essentially we take a block of wood, when we fill it with acrylic, we calculate the density of it, and then we have internal weights that, depending on the shape, we know what the final weight of that wood with that density is going to be for the putter, and so that we know exactly how much internal weights we have to add to it. We've made putters well over 400 grams. We typically don't go too light, because going too light's not great.
Yeah.
It's a lot better to have a little bit more weight, but typically 350, but we can make whatever somebody wants. And then we can face balance it, we can toe hang it, whatever someone wants. That just comes down to the hosel and the way the shaft works. But yeah, it's whatever spec someone wants. Like, that's the easy part. We can always match someone's specs. It's always more like, what story do you want to tell? That's the fun part for us.
Yeah, very cool. Like, I know one of the questions that we got, like, I had posted that you and I were having a chat, so somebody had mentioned inserts versus like a milled face. So you guys don't really, obviously, with wood and acrylic putters, there's no milled faces. Would you say that the putters feel more like an insert? Like, I've rolled an insert putter, like an Odyssey number 9, right up until this year, and then now I started playing a milled face. Would you say it's more comparable to one or the other?
I would say, so it's it changes a lot depending on exactly where you hit on the face. So if you hit the sweet spot, it feels like an insert. Like, it feels really soft. If you hit it off the toe or heel, it feels more like a milled face where you get a lot of responsiveness. And the reason that happens is you've got your stabilized wood is low density. Like, compared to a steel block, a stabilized, like, our blocks are very light comparatively. But then we put in enough internal weights to get to the same weight as a steel putter. So what happens is the shock wave travels from the point that you hit it on the face, and it hits all the weights because the density changes. It rebounds off of those weights, and when you hit the sweet spot, everything's symmetric, so you get really low frequencies responding, and that feels like, when you hit a bat, like when you pure it, or when you hit your driver and you pure it, there's very low frequencies, and it feels awesome. When you hit it off the toe, that's when the frequencies skyrocket, because the distance between the impact in all the different weights is very different now, so you really feel like that you hit it off the toe or the heel. But because you've got a lot of perimeter weighting, because it's low density weights or low density material, you can really put the internal weights far away from the sweet spot. We have a high moment of inertia, so the face resists twisting, and you've got a nice solid weight to it, so it doesn't slow down too much on the toe. So you can get a ton of forgiveness on miss hits with this material, and you don't need to groove the face, because typically, like metal putters, metal's really hard, and so the softness, the feel off the face comes from, like, the ball compressing, the metal compressing, and when it's just solid, it doesn't compress very much because it's just solid. when you groove it, it allows the grooves to compress a little bit, and so it feels softer. But our wood already has an ideal hardness to it, so you don't need to add. We've added grooves before. It makes it insanely soft, but there's no real great reason to do that because it already feels great. So we don't add grooves. It doesn't affect the roll. Your dynamic loft affects the roll a lot more than anything else. Until you're hitting like a 5-iron or 6-iron, the grooves on even an iron don't really matter that much because it's not getting a lot of side. You're not gripping the ball by hitting it at a steep angle of attack.
Right.
It's flat on flat. So grooves are just there to make it feel softer. I've had people send me links to studies where, look how much the grooves affect the roll, and I look for the entire document. Where does it say anything about dynamic loft? And it doesn't say it once. Like, well, then they've missed the entire point. So if they have an entire article that talks about the roll off of a putter and they don't mention dynamic loft once, then I'm just not gonna. Like, that's not a well, like, their methodology's trash.
Just go low, teed up early solo. Gotta keep the front and back at a under 4-0. Jaws in the phase ball, doing what I say. Still TGB addicted, so I gotta play. Teed on 3 and I almost dropped it. Yeah, and I almost dropped it. Teed on 3 and I almost dropped it. I'm screaming out one time.
There's only so much that matters on a putter. Like on an
Right.
iron, on a driver, you gotta hit draws, fades, low, high. It's going to spin much, like high spin, low spin. There's a lot going on. It's a really high speed, so there's a lot of ways for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
Tech definitely matters there. And people also say, like, I could hit a putter with anything. I'm like, I could make you a putter that you would be trash with, that would not work well for you, that would feel terrible, that would be either too light or the weight's in the wrong spots. Like, I'm not saying that the tech in putter doesn't matter. I'm saying that certain things matter. And at the end of the day, on a putt, you have to hit it straight and you have to control the distance. Beyond that, I don't care how any consistency, obviously matters, but you're not hitting like, this is a side hill, this is downhill, this is from the rough. Yes, some greens out there kind of seem a little bit closer to rough than greens these days. But for the most part, it's pretty simple what you're trying to do with a putter. It's hit it straight, control distance, and we have people shoot well under par with these all the time. Win tournaments. I don't advertise to pros because we don't want that amount of publicity. Like, it's just not. If one of my putters was, being talked about by the announcers at a PGA tournament, it's me and one guy. It would inundate us, and it's not something we want. So we don't go that route. But we've had all sorts of people winning the club championships with them, and I shot 3 under par at a course a couple weeks ago with mine. Like, it's just, they're fantastic putters.
Yeah.
They're also art.
I saw that story too, so I can attest to that. At least I wasn't there, but I saw you post that story.
That was my birthday.
Yeah.
It was a par 67 course, so it didn't have a couple par 5s, which makes it tougher too because I hit the ball a long ways and you usually can get
right.
That was a fun day. But then we played from the tips on another course, close to 7,000 yards and shot at 76 on a par 72 there.
Good for you, man.
The next day. So I'm not a great golfer by any means, but 28 putts, and
So tell me a little bit about your putter then. You have as many as you want, I'm sure, but which one are you typically gaming right now?
Mine's simple. Like, it's just one of our very first Luna XLs. It's gorgeous maple burl, and it's got our old brand on it. It's nothing crazy. We're making crazy stuff for everybody all the time, and we're plenty backed up doing that. And it's kind of like the cobbler's son wears no shoes or whatever. It's always focusing on, like, I've got another one that is made with cherry wood from my childhood home. I used to sit in that tree and spit cherry pits at my sister. Like, that's a really cool one. Like, made my dad a matching one. Like, there's some fun stuff there. And I'm left-handed, so like a lot of times we make a lot of righty putters, and so like I'll putt right-handed with those. But for the most part, I've got it's a very trusty, like, and it works beautifully for me.
Yeah, you're talking to a Canadian here, man. We're 30% of us are lefties up here, so you're.
What's funny is whenever someone, like, because of hockey, like, I talk to people. Anytime I talk to someone from Canada, I guess that they're left-handed. Like, how'd you know? I'm like, because you're all hockey players. Like,
Exactly.
it's 11% in America, and it's like 30 to 50%
Yeah,
in
it's
Canada.
apparently like this over 30%. So I would, like I've said numerous times, I golf regularly with like 7, 8, 9 guys, and there's a couple righties in our group. So it's pretty well dominated. My wife's right-handed,
That's
my
funny.
sister's left-handed. So it's not just all hockey players. I think it's just kind of like how we're, I don't know, what's
Weird.
accessible to us, right? My brother started as a
Yeah.
lefty. When he was like a teenager, he moved over to right-handed. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty amazing.
Well, in
So
our engineering classes, like in college, it was half lefty. Like it's just
really, eh?
we're yeah, use their brains differently, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, that was interesting. Like,
That's
yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
then I play with I don't know. Yeah, I play with very few lefties down here. Like
Yeah.
it's very, and we always get comments on being on the wrong side of the ball or whatever. I'm like, yeah, well, if I'm on the wrong side of the ball, why am I 50 yards past you, Jerry? So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Like I've chatted with a couple of pro golfers that are down in the States, and they've said the same thing. There are very few lefties, and obviously we see that in like the PGA Tour and whatnot. There's only a handful, right? But we've got Mike Weir, who recently just had a win up here, so we're back on the map.
nice.
We're back on the map for now. But maybe
Yeah.
you can. I know you don't have a ton of time tonight, so I'm not going to keep you too long. But maybe you can kind of explain how the process, if anybody's interested in getting a putter from you, how does the process go?
Yeah, so easiest thing is when I come up on my website, bradleyputters.com, there's a chat box on there, and that just goes literally straight to my phone. And the hard thing is, like, there's kind of a lot of education that has to happen. Like,
Right.
there's so much that I can do with the putter that, on one hand, like, I mean, no one ever comes to me and says, this is exactly what I want on the putter. Like, and if they do, that doesn't end well because they usually, like, think they know what they want, but I'm like, that's not actually going to look that good, so we have to tweak it. But essentially what works best is when someone comes to me with an idea of, either I want to get a putter for myself, my dad just, passed away or whatever, and I want to do something that reminds me of him. That's all you need to come to me with. I'll tease out the stories, and then we'll come up with, the shape and the design elements. And, are you a flashy kind of person? Are you more reserved? Whatever, you name it, we'll design it for you so that we can make stuff really flashy. We can make stuff really reserved.
Right.
And then once we've got that, I mean, it always starts with a phone call. So you chat with me for a little bit on the internet just till we get or on Instagram or wherever, just reach out, DM me. And we kind of figure out a time to chat, and we spend usually about a half hour on the phone just talking about stories, ideas, what's going to be a cool way of making this putter that, based on, I've got tons, like thousands of pictures on my Instagram of different things I've done in the past. You can kind of send me like, okay, I like this one, I like that one, and then we get an order on the books from that discussion. And then from there, we use software where every putter we make, like all the custom putters we make, I show you, like, this is the wood. Like, I post pictures to your own specific Trello. It's called Trello. Your own Trello board, where you see what the block is looking like, what the acrylic board is looking like, what the shape, when we cut it and weight it, like what that's looking like, what the shape looks like. We upload the artwork. So if we're putting, an image of your childhood home on the bottom or whatever, and people send us wood from like the barn that their parents grew up tending or whatever, you get pictures as we're making that. So you see what we're doing, and you can tweak it midstream. I guarantee everyone loves the putters. So, like, we just made one recently where it was exactly what he asked for, and then his wife was like, "Oh, I thought it would be different like this," and he's like, "Oh, you're right. That would look really like a lot better." And so we're making him an entirely new putter just because I want him to love it and show it off to his friends. Like, we pay very little for marketing. We just make really cool putters that people want to talk about,
Absolutely.
and then go viral from there.
What
So yeah,
about
and
what
typically,
about shafting options?
so I mean, we can do center shaft, double bends, slant necks, whatever toe hang you might want. We do chrome shaft, then white shaft, black shaft. We've got black, blue, and brown grips, and we also do exotic head covers where someone says they want red shiny gator. We'll make head cover and matching grip out of that. Whatever you could want. We can do some ridiculously crazy exotic stuff. We do like matching ball markers and repair tools, where we'll like we've even done ones where like we put exotic skin in the ball marker and repair tool. Those always look cool. But yeah, we'll make pretty much whatever someone could possibly dream up, and then usually crazier than that, because they usually call me up like asking if I can make a 35-inch putter or if I can make it left-handed. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. Like, let's go deeper. What color car did your dad drive? Like,
Yeah,
tell me
exactly.
something meaty. Like, let's work with this. So yeah, there's a lot of just a lot of room for us to really tell a story that's gonna be special to you, and then it just becomes your Peter Pan putter, like something that's gonna make you happy. Every time you look at it, you're gonna like think of something that is just that you love, and that's what's fun to me. It's not like, and I like people not, I see some putter makers, they have gorgeous stuff, but they just figure out every single putter. It's a different way for them to put their own name on it, and like that's cool. And a lot of people buy that, and it works. It obviously works really well for them. But I much prefer like new stories and like we put a little tiny Bradley with the serial number. That's it. Other than that, it's your story. Like
Right.
that's way more fun for me. I'd get so bored if I just had to figure out ways to put Bradley on a putter. Like I run out of ideas for that so fast.
So if we want it, we ask you. You'll engineer it. You'll build it and you'll create it, and then it'll go in our bags. So when we're missing those 3 and 4 footers, it won't hurt so bad, right? So
And only you can prevent three putts. That's what our head cover says.
that's
So
perfect. That's
yeah,
perfect.
no, it's they're the feel on them is just that's the part that like if everyone could feel what a Bradley felt like, we would get inundated real fast.
Yeah.
But we prefer to. We like the just slow trickle that we do, and we work on 30 putters a month roughly.
Right.
We're not a high volume shop. It takes us 1 to 2 months to make each one typically. We're selling 1 to 2 putters a day, if that. Like that's our gravy zone. We really like that, and we just chug along and get it. I get to know each person. Like every putter we make has the person's name on it. Like the box that the blue boxes up there, like has the person's name. We know exactly who it's for. I've spent at least half hour on the phone talking to them. Like we'll text back and forth. We get to know each other, so that's fun. Like I don't make like 30 putters for a country club. Like we don't do bulk order stuff. Like we'll do stuff
Right.
with groomsmen every so often, but for the most part, just the most special fun stuff.
Very cool. So I've got a quick segment here called the we've got a beer sponsor, Triple Bogey Brewing. Not down in the States that much, so I'm gonna run through a quick segment with you called the Swing Oil segment. So I'm just gonna ask you a
Okay.
couple quick questions. You don't have to put much thought into them. Fire an answer back, and then I'll let you go. You're a lefty, just like myself. So if you switch over to the other side of the tee block, you play around. What do you think you're gonna shoot?
I'd probably break 100.
Okay.
I used to coach at the high school level, and on one of the holes, like I started playing golf right-handed with my dad's set, and then I would make them use my club, and I'd use their club, and see if they could beat me. So, yeah, it's not the prettiest thing, but it works.
You get it done.
Do it for
Get
the
around the
tips and
course.
sawgrass or anything, but my home course, I could probably break 100 there. Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Now putting would be great.
Yeah, you've got some experience with the right-handed putting for sure. Favorite snack at the turn can be a liquid one as well.
Favorite snack, and it can or can't.
It can be a liquid.
Can be a liquid. I'm kind of basic. I do enjoy just a Coors latte, just like not too much flavor, just easy. That's probably it. I also don't eat or drink much on the course. It's like I'm there for golf and a good time, and like me drinking a lot of beers is too. So
Yeah.
I definitely don't drink a ton, but yeah. Or actually, most common one I do is a Snickers bar. That's my jam.
Okay. There's gonna be a beer from up here called Triple Bogey +3. That's gonna be finding its way. It's in a really cool green can. I feel like you'll
I'll
like
be
it.
drinking that for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah, if that's anywhere close to me.
it's a great
Yeah,
golf beer. So it'll
for
be
all the alcohol rules. Yeah, send that down, and
yeah, it'll be
I'm
making your
somewhere.
way down soon. So
I'm excited.
you're on your way to a golf trip. What song is playing?
It is probably some Johnny Cash is always good.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much anything Johnny Cash.
Good
just gets us
cartoons.
going.
For sure. So, you're on that way to the golf trip. You open up your luggage. 3 non-related golf items in your luggage.
Non-related golf items in my luggage. I pack terribly for golf trips. Like it's so bad. I usually like forget underwear and socks, and it's real bad. Bottle of whiskey. Although that's kind of golf related, but actually we bring this muscle tens unit thing. Just in case we get a real bad, like you ever seen those like where it like shocks your muscles and makes them like kind of like that.
Like
Only
this.
Not as cool as that. It's more like it's the sticky things that like.
Okay.
shock you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And that will like put on people's hands and stuff and make them like freak out. It's fun.
Yep.
That's a good one. And then, again, I packed terribly. Like
Another bottle of whiskey. That's okay. Hey.
Pretty much. We did have 2 bottles of whiskey on the last trip, but yeah, I think I packed enough socks. Like I'm so excited to get out there on the course and play. Like I was in Bermuda, and I just think my golf didn't pack my bag well at all. And I make ball markers for a living. I didn't have a single one in my bag. I didn't have a coin. I literally had to pull the pop top off of a can and use that as my ball marker.
You're playing in a solo round and you get an ace. You get a hole in one. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna pull my phone and start gramming that from the tee box up, just to make it look as real as possible, and then probably cry at home.
Yeah, that would definitely. Somebody's asked me that question before, and it'd be frightening. Like I don't know if I'd wait for the group behind me or I'd call like the marshal or something. I'm still not sure what I'd do. I hit the pin last year. Luckily but it was my wife and sister that were golfing with me. So I thought to myself, like, are people really even going to believe it anyway? But so
it's hard to get your wife to lie for you though. So I mean,
that's
if your
true.
wife says yeah, it happened. That's usually pretty good.
She's competitive. She would not lie. So
she wouldn't just give that up for you. Yeah, I believe that.
You're playing a solo round and you get paired up with somebody. Who would it be? One non-golfer and one golfer.
Ooh, a non-golfer to play with and a golfer to play with. I would say, man, Elon Musk could be a hoot to play with. I don't think he plays golf, so that would be awkward.
No, that's a couple weeks in a row talking about Elon Musk. A couple weeks back, one of the Canadian pros I was talking to, he's actually, I guess, teaching somebody who is involved with the SpaceX program that Elon Musk is running. So he's like into the 3rd wave of applications to do the, I guess, civilian space launch or something, which is pretty wild. So that's I think wild. Elon Musk would be pretty cool to golf with.
He'd be interesting, that is for sure. And
yeah.
Then, I just have to say Phil Mickelson, like being a lefty golfer, he is just one of the funniest, most interesting guys in golf. Like that would be just a hoot. Like,
agreed. I'll bring Mike Weir and we'll make it a full foursome of lefties. It'll be a pretty good time.
We'd get a lot of comments.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
No one would care that Phil Mickelson there. They wouldn't even notice it was Phil. They were just like, oh, cool, 4 lefties. Like, that's a unicorn right there.
Thank you so much, Bradley. I know you got a client coming in, so I'm going to let you run. Anybody looking on, anybody checking out YouTube right now, you can see their Instagram link just in below his photo there, or the video. It's just at Bradley Putters. And then, like you said, we can reach you. What's the website we can reach you on, Bradley?
Yeah, it's bradleyputters.com. If you're on the YouTube, you can see this is Blastoise on the bottom of putter there. You can kind of see that. Like,
yeah. I can see it. I can see it clear. That's awesome, man.
American flag putters. Do Canadian flag putter real easy. Instagram at Bradley Putters. Website bradleyputters.com. My cell phone's on the website. Like I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy guy. You were away for the weekend, so maybe down the road we can catch up and do it again sometime. And if I'm ever making my way through, I know you got a simulator in the shop, right? So I'm gonna pop by and see you.
Oregon's pretty much the Canada of America, so you're welcome anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Bradley. Take care, man.
Thank you, man.
All right, bye for now.
Check on my car for the scope. See that I'm fresh through the low. Go ahead and count out the birdies so far. It's 3 in a row. 224 to the hole. No hybrid, the iron I pull as a vote. They say that you drive for the show.
They say that you puff for the dope.